Hello everyone, am I audible now? Hello everyone, great. So guys, there is a small and a humble submission that I need 30 minutes of yours in which I will be explaining Indian polity on the board. And I presume that we have three types of students here. One, those who have already done much, and then in this 30 minutes, they will be able to understand that what I taught and what I was trying to teach them and what value it could make to them. Then the second category of students are those who have just started, they know the basics, but then they can now understand that what is to be done, how the notes are to be made, how the concepts are to be interlinked, and how you have to remember the things. And then there is third category of students, which like those who have yet to start, they have done nothing as such. Now they are thinking of starting the process. And even they will be, in a position now after these 30 minutes to understand that what is to be read, how it is to be read, and everything. So can I expect that you guys allow us 30 minutes uninterrupted in which we explain you things? Great, thank you. So friends, when we talk about this polity, and I hope you all know that polity is a very important component, be it pre or be it mains, and even in your interview, you need to be very well aware of the constitution and the extra constitutional things, the political system, the idea of governance and whatnot, right? So here I will take your 30 minutes to explain you that how we have to understand the entire gamut of Indian polity. Now look at this. This is a very broad structure of Indian political system. When I talk about this Indian political system, which is a republic, which is a democracy, where we have center-state relations because of India being a quasi-federal kind of a political system. Now, I will first be giving you a brief idea, then I will elaborate on some of the topics, not all, but some of the topics which are important, and you will then realize that what I was trying to make you understand. So let us understand that how a political system works. See, if we talk about three important organs of the government, three important organs, the organs are legislature, executive, and judiciary. These are three important organs of any government. Fine. Legislature makes the rules, they make the laws, they make legislation, they pass the bills, and the rules are made. So the work of legislation is rule making. The legislature makes the rule. The executive is rule application. They implement the rules made by the legislature. Judiciary's role is rule adjudication, whether the rules which have been made, have they been made in a proper way, and are they being implemented properly or not. This is what the job of the judiciary is. Now when we talk about these three things, that there is legislature, executive, and judiciary, what exactly we are talking about here is that we have an idea of separation of powers. Separation of powers. This is SOP, separation of powers. Now, what is this idea of separation of powers? See, there was a time before we had democratic system where people used to elect their representatives. In Indian history or in European history, world over, there was a time when we had the system of absolute monarchies. Absolute monarchies, monarchs, the kings. Absolute means they had all the powers. When they had all the powers, the king was the legislature, the king was the executive, and the king was the judiciary. He had all the powers centered in him. Because he had all the powers in him, so as there is a very popular political science quotation that power corrupts. Power corrupts. If somebody has power, there is a possibility that the person who has the power may turn corrupt. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So when king had all the power in a single person, the king himself being the person in whom all the power was vested, so he had absolute power. So there was a possibility that he could be absolutely corrupt, right? So during the time of 16th, 17th centuries, the powers of the kings were started to be challenged. The philosophers, the writers, the thinkers in Europe, they started challenging the authority of the king, and they started giving new ideas, which paved way for democracy. Now, when we talk about this idea of separation of power, a French philosopher by the name of Montesquieu, he comes to our mind. He was the first to give the idea of separation of power. Now, why this idea of separation of power is so important? Because it creates the idea of balance of power, or more specifically put, the idea is checks and balances. Checks and balances. Now, what is this idea of checks and balances? Let's take one example. In India, legislature is parliament. Parliament is the legislature. Parliament passes a bill, and this bill becomes an act, and act is a law. So parliament passes a bill, the bill becomes an act, and act is a law. So when parliament passes a bill, whether the bill is right or not, whether the parliament did the job well or not, who will check it? It will be judiciary. In our constitution, there is Article 13, which is basically the provision for judicial review. The judiciary will check whether the bill passed by parliament is in sync with the constitutional structure or not. If there is anything that is against the spirit of this constitution, judiciary will call the bill unconstitutional, ultra vires. And if it is called ultra vires, that means unconstitutional, then the act cannot be implemented because it now has become unconstitutional. So what has happened? Because of the separation of power, because there being three separate organs, there is the idea of checks and balances. The judiciary checked the functioning of legislature, whether it is working correctly or not. And if there was some problem, if there was some threat, if there was some abuse of power, so it was balanced out. So judiciary balanced the wrongdoing of legislature because of this separation of power. This is one example. Now let's take another example. There are so many judges in Supreme Court. If any judge becomes corrupt, he is not working properly, he is not performing his duties according to the law, in that case, the legislature, parliament, will start the procedure for removal of the judge. So if there is problem with judiciary, legislature will check and balance. If there is problem with legislature, judiciary will check and balance. Now this is the provision of check and balance through separation of powers. Now similarly, let's take one more example. Executive. Now what is most important part of executive? The most important part of executive is our prime minister and his council of ministers. Prime minister and his council of ministers. Now, how these two things are connected for this check and balance? So the prime minister is one such person who is the leader of the party which enjoys the support of Lok Sabha, right? The majority party in Lok Sabha, the leader of this party will become the prime minister, na? So this prime minister and his council of ministers are accountable to the parliament. They are answerable to the parliament. Whenever they need money, they pass a money bill. If it is budget, even it is a money bill. Whenever they need money to run the affairs, they have to seek approval of legislature, and parliament will ask them questions like, before you take the money, tell us where you will spend it, how you will spend it. And even if the money has been given and the money has been spent, parliament will still keep an eye on the money spent, and there is a mechanism for it. Now, if I will go into more details at the very start, then it will be little difficult for the beginners to understand. But for those who have already done something, I will give a very small example. So the parliament keeps an eye on the executive. It keeps a check and balance on the executive in the way that while giving them money, parliament takes some undertaking that you will spend the money properly. Now that the money has been given and the money has been not properly spent, there is an institution of Comptroller and Auditor General, CAG, under Article 148. Now this CAG will make a report. The report will go to President. President will give it to Parliament, and Parliament will have its committee called Public Accounts Committee and Committee on Public Undertakings, PAC and COPU. It will again check whether the money has been properly spent or not, If there is any embezzlement, any misappropriation, then the minister concerned or prime minister will be answerable in parliament, that how can you spend the money? From where did the money come? The people of India pay taxes. When they paid the taxes, you got the money in what? In the consolidated fund of India, from which you withdrew the money by getting a money bill passed through parliament, promising that you will be spending money on this thing. Now you have not done it. So give answer. And if you cannot give answer, you may lose this majority support in Lok Sabha. And if this majority support is lost, then what will happen? Then Lok Sabha will pass vote of no confidence. And if this vote of no confidence is carried, if it is passed, the prime minister along with his council of ministers will resign. So I hope now this gives you an idea that how legislature, executive and judiciary keep a check on each other because of this separation of powers. Now, before moving further, I will again request the students to let me know, are they comfortable with this pace, and did they like the idea of me telling them the story and explaining them the things like this? A quick response. Great. Thank you very much. So moving further from here, these are three organs doing three different things, ensuring separation of power. So there are three organs. Now there are three levels of government. First we had three organs. Now we have three levels. And the three levels are the center, the states, and the local bodies. Center, state, and local bodies. Now at times when I meet students who are beginners, they are so very sweet kids that they don't even know exactly what is the role of MP and what is the role of MLA. And they seldom know that there is someone called MLC, Member of Legislative Council. There are students who just start the process and they have no background in the subject, right? They had no background in the subject. Now, when you start reading things, and start understanding them with proper explanations, then you know what happened? The things get imprinted on your mind. And when then you try your answer, you know, you always listen to toppers, you always listen to other people telling you, apply that elimination method, eliminate two options, then you will know the right answer. But how will you do it unless you have the knowledge? So to use those methods which toppers use so casually, like we could eliminate these two options, why you have to have the knowledge first. And that knowledge should not just be superficial knowledge. It need to be ingrained in your mind. You need to be comfortable with that information so that you can eliminate the wrong information. Fine. So these are three organs and these are three levels. Now, first of all, let's understand that why we need constitution. See, if there is no written constitution, properly written constitution, then how can you divide the powers specifically between the center and the states? If there is no written constitution, there will always be a dispute that who will do what, right? So by writing a constitution, you can clearly demarcate the area that these powers are for the center and these powers are for the state. And therefore, we always say that for a federal system to work, we must have a written constitution. And that is why when we talk about USA being a federal system, we all know that USA has a written constitution. And when we say it's unitary system, we understand that this is a system in Britain. And obviously, yes, they do not have a written constitution. So if I try to make you understand that what is a federal system and what is a unitary system. So if there is a unitary system is an example where we can talk about Britain or United Kingdom, right? So what happens in this system? There is a center. Now, when I talk about center, now what I mean by center, I mean like in India, the center is where Prime Minister Modi and his cabinet ministers and the president and the Supreme Court is there. It is Delhi, right? It is New Delhi. But then there is a state government in Delhi. There is a union territory of Delhi where we have a chief minister as well. So there is one prime minister or president, like who are the head of the state or head of the national government, that is center. And then we have states. Fine. So there is a center. This center is all powerful in a unitary system. Unitary system is where center is most powerful. The center decides what powers it will give to the states. The center will itself decide that what powers it will give to the states, and when it gives powers to the states, if it has the power to transfer the powers, if it has the right to transfer the powers, then it can anytime take away the powers. So the entire existence of states in a unitary system is dependent on center. Center can give them powers, center can take away the powers. Whereas when we talk about a federal structure or a federal system, what happens first? We need a written constitution. This is very important. We need a written constitution, right? Then when we have a written constitution, the constitution tells us that what are the powers of the center and what are the powers of the states and how they will interact with each other. And in case of dispute, who will help? That is independent judiciary. Independent judiciary will help. So in our constitution or in American constitution, if there is a dispute between center and states, let's take an example in India. If there is a dispute between center and states, how the dispute will be solved, how the problem will be solved. So the solution will come through Article 131 of Indian Constitution, that is original jurisdiction of Supreme Court. In this, Supreme Court will take up the dispute between center and states. From where this idea came that there will be a original jurisdiction of Supreme Court to solve the problems of center and state, the idea is ingrained in the written constitution. So whenever we talk about a federal system, we need to have a written constitution, and to protect the provisions of the written constitution, we must have an independent judiciary. This constitution will divide the powers and will decide that how the two levels or three levels will then interact with each other. This is what we mean by written constitution having a federal structure, and the best example obviously will be USA. Now what happens? In India, yes, we have a written constitution. We have divided powers between the center and the states. Yes, we have Supreme Court as an independent judiciary. But what happens in India beyond this is, there is a fact in India that the center is more powerful. Center is more powerful. There are many examples, but if I give you handful of the examples, in India, the governor in all the states, the governors in all the states are appointed by president, or we can say appointed by center, right? In a federal system like America, all the states will elect their own governors, whereas in India, the governors are appointed by the center. So this belies the spirit of federalism in India. This is against the idea of federalism. Number two, we have all India services in our country, right? All India services like IAS, IPS, they are selected by UPSC, Union Public Service Commission, that is center, but then they are sent to the states. Whereas in a federal country, there is no such provision. Then in India, we have emergency provisions, particularly provision like Article 356, where center can, remove the elected government of the state and impose president rule or governor rule, right? When this happens, then where is that spirit of federalism in India? Yes, we have some federal features. Yes, there are some unitary features. That is why a political writer by the name of K.C. Ware, he called Indian Constitution as a quasi-federal constitution. That means half federal and half unitary, right? Is it clear to everyone? Could you understand, relate with these things now? Make sense and make things easy. Now moving further, when I was telling you that we have a constitution, so what this constitution is all about? If I try to understand that what this constitution is all about, so I understand that the first function of constitution is to provide What is the basic function? To provide basic rules, to provide basic rules for minimum coordination among members of a society. Members of a society. When I talk about a society, now what I need to understand here, when I talk about a society, what I need to understand here, in this society, there are political relations, there are social relations, there are economic relations, there are cultural relations, and there are religious relations, right? Now we need to have one such document that will decide that how the people in this society will relate with each other. Now let's take some example from Indian Constitution. Politically, the people will have the right to elect their government. There is idea of universal franchise, universal adult franchise in Indian Constitution, making it a true democracy, that people will participate in elections, they will elect their representatives who will run the political system of the country, right? So the Constitution itself defines that how the society will be shaped politically. Then we talk about socially. Socially, there are so many groups. There are some vulnerable sections, like women are at some kind of threat, or there are backward classes, there are scheduled castes, scheduled tribes. So what kind of special provisions can be made for them, right? Now, what I would like you guys to understand, that when I say na, making notes is not possible in isolation. What I mean by it, what I mean by it, and I will request my team operating from home not to share the Telegram and YouTube link again, because the students who are serious, they have already joined it. And because the team has shared, I will just give you an idea that there is a Telegram group that we have shared and a YouTube channel. If you join this, you will get a lot of content free every day, right? So because in morning when we shared it, some of the students were saying we couldn't join it. So the team very promptly shared it again, but now it's okay. We will not be sharing it again. Those who have not joined can join now. All right. So coming back to it, socially, what special provisions can be made? So we have an idea of reservation, reservation for SCs, reservation for STs, reservations for BCs. Now there is concept of reservation for EWS, economically weaker section, and there is a provision like people are talking about reservation for women. Fine. Now, when I said that we have to make a very comprehensive integrated note, so I just cannot read about this idea of reservation or what it is called affirmative action unless I understand the concept given in 11th class political theory book, where there is an idea of John Rawls. Now, what is that idea of John Rawls, and why I need to understand that idea while talking about affirmative action? So in political theory book of class 11, in the chapter on justice, there is an idea given by Rawls, John Rawls, right? He gives the idea of distributive justice, in which there are two key words used by him, two key terms used by him. The terms being, one is veil of ignorance, and the second word is original position. Now, what we understand by these two terms, let me tell you. Let's take a hypothetical situation. Let's believe that there is a hypothetical situation that all of us, all of you people who are sitting in this class, including me and everyone here, we are yet to be born as human beings. We are yet to be born as human beings, right? We are not born yet. We all are sitting with the God and we are yet to be born. So this is kind of an original position, where we are living in a veil of ignorance. We know nothing that what will happen when we are born, right? So we are not very sure, will I be born as a boy or a girl? Will I be born rich or poor? Will I be born in a high caste or a low caste? Will I be born in a city or in a village, right? I'm not sure about anything. Now, all of us have an opportunity to decide that in what world we are going, in the world in which we are about to be born, what kind of world we all want, what kind of world we want. So perhaps if we get such an opportunity where we know nothing, that where we will be born, how we will be born, what will be our social status, so what kind of world all of us will want, there is only and only one possibility, that we all agree that whatever we are, all must be treated alike. That means all of us will talk about idea of equality, that we should be treated alike. There should be equality in the society. And at the same time, we will agree, for sure we will agree, that if there is any like deviation from the idea of equality, if we have to go away from the idea of equality, it must favor the weak and not the strong. Somebody who is already strong, then why to make him more strong? If he becomes more strong, he will end up exploiting the weakers. So give the special provisions or special rights to the weaker in the society so that they can become equal with the stronger. So when we agree to this, that in a society where we will be born, there everyone should be treated alike and equally, and if somebody is to be given something special, it must go in favor of weak and not strong. Now, if we all agree to this in the original position, then why can't this world be like that? Why somebody is weak and somebody is strong? Why somebody is so very rich and somebody is so very poor? Why somebody is getting the best medical facilities and somebody is dying outside a hospital? So let's create one such world where there is equality, right? So what is justice? Justice is creating equality. Now, again, going to political science theory book of class 11, is it possible to make everyone equal? And if we go beyond a certain limit and try to create an artificial equality, it will be not justice, it will be injustice. I cannot make everyone equal exactly, right? Exactly, everyone cannot be equal. Like I cannot say now that everybody who will appear for IAS will become an IAS. Everybody who will become an IAS will have rank 1. So absolute equality is impossible. So what is justice? Justice is the idea of justice says that first of all, there should be equal opportunity to all. Like everyone shall have equality of opportunity. All should have the opportunity to do everything. Like even if I am born in a village, I should have that adequate background that I can prepare for IAS exam. It should not be something like this, that I was born in a village where there were lack of infrastructure for education. I was not given proper education. I lag behind in, let's say, English, and now you have a compulsory CSAT. And because I'm weak in English, I cannot qualify pre. How can I become an IAS? So first of all, there is a need to create equality of opportunity. And that is what we mean by justice. 2. Now what justice is? Justice is treat equals equally. Treat equals equally and unequals unequally. Means if there is someone who is from a special category, if there is someone who is from like superior category, so called, right? So treat them alike. And if there is someone who is from a different category, you can treat them differently. For example, the women and the men. We believe that the two are equal. We believe that, but we understand that there are some biological differences because of which the women deserve something different than the men, and men are doing no favor to women. So we can give special reservation to women, but can we give reservation to men? No, right? So this is how the idea of justice has to be understood. And you just cannot read about justice in preamble when they talk about social, economic, and political justice without understanding the ideas of John Rawls and others. How do you understand this? So do you understand that? How we can help you understand the concepts better in an easier manner and help you make proper notes so that you can write your proper answers, right? This is how we teach in our classes. This is how we help our students make their notes. We will provide these notes to our students. They will get these notes, right? So I was giving you example that what are the functions of constitution, why we need constitution. We need constitution because it provides basic rules for the society. Constitution provides basic rules for the society. Then what it tells us, what more constitution is doing, it tells us that who has the power to make decisions in society. Now, when we come to this point that who has the power to make rules in the society, here what more we need to understand now, what we need to understand, that we have a system of democracy, right? There is an idea of indirect democracy and a direct democracy, right? In this indirect democracy, we elect our representatives. The representatives become members of parliament or members of state legislative assemblies, MLAs. In the direct system, which was present in the ancient times, in the ancient Greek city states, it was totally different. Every freeman was one who was not a slave. They were expected to be taking active part in politics. They were expected to play active role in politics. So they were themselves sitting in meetings and deciding that what is to be done, how it is to be done, how the law is to be made, what law is to be made, how it is to be implemented, and everything, right? Ancient times. But in the modern time, it is not possible. Why? Because in the modern time, the size of state is big and the population is huge. How can you make everybody sit at one place and then you can have a consensus that yes, this should be the law, this should be implemented in this way? It becomes little difficult. So today, when we talk about direct democracy, we have the example from Switzerland. Now, what is that example? There are things like referendum and plebiscite, right? There are things like recall. There are things like initiative. Now, what are these things? What is referendum? What is plebiscite? What is recall? What is initiative? I will give you one example so that you understand what is direct democracy in present time. In India, every 5 years, we elect someone to be our member of parliament. And when the member come before the election, when the members are seeking our votes, they come and they make many promises with us. They come and they make many promises with us. But then once they are selected, they are elected, do they fulfill their promises? Right? Do they fulfill their promises? What happened then? In India, we have no choice. They will continue for next 5 years. But in Switzerland, there is a device. The device is recall. Now, what is recall? If the people of the same area from there, that person has been elected as their representative for parliament or for state legislature, if the adequate number of people then write a petition to the election commission or to the parliament that, see, this member whom we gave our vote because he made such promises to us has not fulfilled the promises despite the passing of this much of time. So now we have lost our faith in this candidate. We do not want this man to be our representative anymore. So here we recall him. He has to now resign and go back. There will be fresh elections in that area and people will elect somebody who they now believe that can fulfill the promises made by that candidate. So this is what we call recall. It is not available in India. So we are purely indirect democracy. We can only elect people, we cannot call them back. In Switzerland, it is a direct democracy because people have the power to even recall the candidates whom they have elected. Is it clear? Is it clear, everyone? Somebody was writing there that this session was about writing good notes. So somebody can explain this to me and to the fellow students, that without knowing that how to read, how to make good notes? I can show you the method of making good notes here. That make a broad chart. There is legislature. This legislature has parliament. Parliament has Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha. The work is the making of law. There is executive. There are types of executive. There is parliamentary executive in India. In this parliamentary executive, we have president and vice president, we have prime minister, we have council of ministers, we have bureaucracy. Now, when we know that we have bureaucracy, make note on bureaucracy along with it, that what are the functions of bureaucracy. And then when you read articles in newspapers that how bureaucracy in European countries is doing differently and better, and in India there are some loopholes, there is some colonial legacy that continues, the bureaucracy remains like they are not truly the civil servants. Add to this on the margin of the page that you have left. So that is one method to which I have to come. But I wonder that why students do not give time to teacher to explain the things, why they always want to prove a point that they are more knowledgeable and they will dictate that how the class is to be run. That's the only problem. So students, will you allow me to teach proper, so that I can tell you that what are the important things in polity, how we have to understand and how we have to make notes, or shall I just jump over? Thank you for allowing me. And those who are not able to understand while I am speaking in English, I would like to apologize. Let me speak to them in Hindi for a minute, guys. My lecture will be in English. So जो लोग ये बता रहे हैं कि उनको अंग्रेजी भाषा समझ नहीं आ रही है, और अगर मैं ज्यादा अंग्रेजी में बोल रहा हूं तो वो चीजों को समझ नहीं पा रहे हैं, उनसे मैं क्षमा चाहूंगा, क्योंकि मेरे लेक्चर हमेशा अंग्रेजी भाषा में ही होते हैं। मैं हिंदी भाषा में बोल सकता हूं, लेकिन ज्यादा पढ़ा नहीं पाऊंगा, क्योंकि मेरी खुद की शिक्षा जो है वो इंग्लिश माध्यम में हुई है। सो इसलिए मैं उनसे क्षमा चाहूंगा अगर वो इस सेशन से कोई अपने लिए सीख नहीं ले पा रहे हैं, वो समझ नहीं पा रहे हैं, तो मैं शर्मिंदा हूं इस बात से, बट मैं इससे अधिक कुछ कर नहीं पाऊंगा। लाइक हम हमेशा कहते हैं ना, मैं शर्मिंदा हूं जी, तो हाँ मैं भी शर्मिंदा हूं, बट मैं कर कुछ नहीं पाऊंगा। आई एम वेरी सॉरी, राइट? So here we are talking, while my lectures are always in English, I was just speaking to those people who were writing that they cannot understand English, so I was talking to them in Hindi. So please have some patience, guys. Now people started writing, we cannot understand Hindi. See, this dispute of English and Hindi will never leave India, right? So coming back to where we were. Now, when I was telling you that there is a constitution, we have a constitution which is a written constitution. Because we have a written constitution, there is a system of federalism in India. Now, I have given you a diagram. I have explained you that how that federalism works. This is how I want you to integrate the things. This is how I want you to bring things together. Now, when you talk about federalism, right? Now, let me tell you something here. When you talk about the idea of federalism, in your NCERT books, there is a note on federalism. Yes. In your Lakshmikant, there is a note on beyond federalism, like they talk about bargaining federalism, right? They talk about cooperative federalism, and they talk about competitive federalism, right? Lakshmikant goes one step beyond this. But if you are a new student, you are just initiating into the process and you pick up Lakshmikant, right? You are going for self-study, you pick up Lakshmikant. At times, I have seen students, I have met students, like so many of them, they have read Lakshmikant 4 times or 5 times, but they are not able to comprehend it properly. They are not able to comprehend it properly. Neither they have made proper notes for revision. They have just read the book and highlighted every point in Lakshmikant. And yes, that is true. Every line in Lakshmikant is very important. You cannot make a summary of Lakshmikant. If you have ever read Lakshmikant sir's book seriously, every line is important. There can be a question from any given line in the book. Then how can you make summary of it? And we all know that it is almost 1000 pages book. But do you think it is sufficient for your exam? Even if it is pre or mains? Let me tell you, it is not sufficient. Why? It talks about the Indian political system, where it talks about the political theory part. But we know that the political theory part is being asked in the papers these days. For example, recently they ask a question like how idea of stateless society is related with Karl Marx and Mahatma Gandhi. Now this is given in 11th class NCERT, but it is nowhere given in Lakshmikant, right? Similarly, the idea of Swaraj of Gandhiji, it is given in NCERT, not in Lakshmikant. So we have to read NCERTs and we have to read the advanced books. We have to merge them into one. Now, how to merge them, right? So what the idea here is, don't read NCERTs and make the notes immediately. First read NCERTs, highlight the important points, then pick up the advanced book like Lakshmikant, read them. Now you have read both the books and you have highlighted them. Now see what is there in NCERT which is missing in Lakshmikant. Write the same things on the same pages and you need to know the relationship. I will give you one example of a relationship here so that you can better understand that how you have to make those effective notes. So I will be reading something like Article 19(1)(a), and we all know Article 19(1)(a) is about freedom of speech and expression. Freedom of speech and expression, right? We all know, like in India, we have freedom of speech and expression. Then we will write Article 19(2), which puts some reasonable restrictions on the freedoms, on the freedom of speech and expression. Speech and expression. So what are the grounds? Like in India, we have freedom of speech and expression. We can speak anything, we can write anything in press, right? We can write in newspapers, we can write on internet, but then there are some reasonable restrictions. There are some grounds on which you put these restrictions. What are those grounds? You cannot defame anyone. You cannot talk about the sovereignty and integrity of India. You cannot speak against it, right? You cannot speak against unity and integrity of India, sovereignty of India. You cannot say now that we will wage a war against India. India tere tukde honge. No, we cannot say all this. There is some reasonable restriction. We are responsible citizens of India. So when we have freedom of speech and expression, this is our individual right, right? This is our individual right. We all individually have the freedom of speech and expression, but collectively we are responsible to the society. Collectively we are responsible to the society, and we cannot do any harm to other fellow human being. We cannot do any harm to them. Then how can my freedom of speech can give me the freedom to abuse anyone or to like touch anyone and hit anyone, right? It cannot now. So where any of my action can do harm to others, there my right ceases and state can regulate it. State can regulate it. Now, bringing this idea here, what I have done, I have brought the idea of J.S. Mill again from 11th class political theory book along with Lakshmikant. It is missing in Lakshmikant, but there is a possibility of this being asked in your paper 4 ethics, or then you can apply it while writing your answer in mains. While writing your answer in main that discuss the idea of reasonable restrictions on your fundamental rights, you can use this idea of J.S. Mill harm principle. Do you agree, guys? Do you understand? Now, does this make sense that how we have to make notes and how we have to bring things together? I hope this will serve the purpose. This will make our preparation more meaningful, more robust. So guys, here I would like to take this opportunity to just let you know, this is no compulsion. This is only for information that we run this NCERT batch in which we teach you NCERTs by bringing them together. We don't teach you isolated NCERTs that this is one NCERT of political theory, this is one NCERT of constitution. No, we don't teach like this. We bring all NCERTs together, make proper notes and give lectures like this. And these lectures lay such a strong foundation for you that it make you stand at that pedestal where you then become the decision maker. What decision you can take after this NCERT? You can decide, will I be able to do self-study now? Yes, I can do it because I know all the basic things now. I can read the advanced books. I can make my own notes. I can bring the newspapers and put them together and I can prepare myself now. One thing. Two, then you realize that, see, if I do it myself, it may take more time. It may take more effort. I can continue with this institution. Now I have trust on this institution. There is no doubt that the teachers are good. They are teaching good. They are giving proper notes. They are taking proper tests. Then you can take your decision and join the advanced course, right? When you join our NCERT course, we take 5,900 rupees from you, 5,900 rupees. The 5,000 is your fees. 900 is your GST, in which we give you 60 days of classes, live as well as recorded, so that you can revise them. And if somebody is working, somebody cannot attend the live class, they can watch it recorded. You will be part of our close group in which you will ask your doubts and our teachers will give you replies. You will get classes live as well as recorded. You will get PDF notes of all the books integrated properly. You will get, after that, you will get your tests, MCQ test, not mains test, only MCQ test here. But we will give you some practice questions for mains as well. Practice questions with model answers, right? And we will give you current affairs as well. So this is how we run that NCERT course. If anybody is interested, we will be talking about it at the end again, so that for the while we can focus more on study here, right? So we talk about federalism and other such topics. Now let's take one more example. This is very important. In your NCERT books, all these commissions have not been properly mentioned. And in Lakshmikant, even though they are mentioned in detail, but the link with NCERT, the part of political theory is missing. Now that part has to be ingrained. That part has to be integrated. If we are not integrating that part, let's take an example. We have National Commission for Women, but we do not have a National Commission for Men. Now why? Equals treated equally, unequals unequally, right? This is one principle. And then there is that idea of John Rawls. So we have to keep connecting things. Then we have National Human Rights Commission. This Human Rights Commission treat both men and women as well as the third genders equally. All of us are human beings now. So for all of us, we have one commission, that is National Human Rights Commission. But when there is someone who is different, who is unequal, or who is vulnerable, we make special commissions for them, like Special Commission for Women, Special Commission for Backward Classes. Then we have Special Commission for Scheduled Tribes. We have Special Commission for Scheduled Caste and things like this, right? So unless we integrate the things, unless we bring them together, it is seriously very difficult that we can qualify this exam, be it pre or mains. So the most important thing is that we have to cover all NCERTs, but keeping in mind which topic of which NCERT is important. One, not every NCERT and not every chapter of every NCERT is important. When we prepare for IAS, the first thing that we should know is what is not to be read. What is not to be read? If I know what is not to be read, the result is that I am making less effort for better result. If I keep reading the things which are not required, which are irrelevant, which are redundant, which are not required at all, I am not just wasting my time and energy. I am pushing my dream away from me. Why am I pushing it away? Because the one who already knows that what is to be read is focusing more on the things that are required. Because he is focusing only on the things that are required, he is now able to complete the syllabus earlier. And after completing the syllabus early, he has now ample time to multiple time revise it, multiple times. When he revises it multiple times, only then he has a chance to qualify the exam. Just reading once and making notes will not bring the result. Just reading once and making notes, how can it bring the result? Everybody will read it once and make some notes. It all depends on how many times you make your notes, and how many times you revise them. If you are making your notes multiple times, you are wasting your time. You made separate notes from NCERT, you made separate notes from Lakshmikant or from Spectrum, Rajiv here, Modern India, or from Ramesh Singh Economy, or from Nitin Singhania Culture. You are reading your NCERT, you are making notes. You are reading these books, you are making your notes. Then you are bringing them together, you are making third note. Then you read your newspaper, you make fourth notes. If you are making multiple notes, that's wastage of time and energy. That will not bring result. Make notes once, but bring all the things together. Make a comprehensive note. Now revise this note multiple times. Save time while making notes. Utilize the time while revising the note, right? And revise it many times. Keep on revising. More the revision, more secure is your result. Less the revision, less are the chances that you will get the result. I hope you agree and understand. Right? So this is what we are doing for you students. And believe me, many students do call me up. They text me, sir, 5,000 is too much. But this is value for money. This is truly value for money. You will not regret ever in your life doing this course. Why? It will help you not just qualify or prepare for your IAS. It will help you equally for your state PCS. It will help you for your CDS exam. It will help you for your SSC exams. It will help you for your CAPF exam. Whatever competitive exam in future you plan, you think that you want to give, this course will lay a very strong foundation for any and every competitive exam, right? And moreover, if you start it early, you will give yourself ample time to then decide that what you have to do, how you have to do, what all exams you can give, how much time you can give to your preparation, how much time basically you need, because now you know the syllabus, you know how much you have to read, how you have to integrate things. NCRTs we will do for you. Then you can decide whether you want us to do the next for you or you want to do it yourself. So there is so much of the value attached, like it is something coming to you tailor made for your preparation to make it very simple, very easy. It's like decoding the things for you so that you can take your final leap either individually or in faith with us, right? So coming back to this part, now look at this. When we are done with these things, now look at this: procedure established by law and due process of law. How difficult these concepts are. Even if we read them multiple times in our books, we at times are still in a sort of confusion that what exactly is procedure established by law and what exactly is due process of law. How many of us are aware of this? All right. So there are two things here. I will give you an example of it, and then we will close this slide now. I have shown you that how we have made our notes, how we are going to teach you for everything. Now I will be telling you that how you can make your notes. Otherwise, I will be coming to that point now, right? So meanwhile, here I'm telling you something. There is procedure established by law. Procedure established by law. Then we have due process of law. Due process of law. Now, when I say procedure established by law, let's try understand it in two different ways. The first procedure established by law is that every law is to be made through a proper procedure, like you have to pass a bill, right? Pass a bill in legislature. If legislature passes a bill in a proper way, that let's say Rajya Sabha passed the bill, Lok Sabha passed the bill, the president gave his assent to this bill, the president signed the bill became an act, or act is a law, and this procedure has been followed, that you passed the bill in Lok Sabha, you passed the bill in Rajya Sabha, you sent it to the president signed it, it became a law. First procedure has been followed. Now, when a law has been made, it has made a procedure. Now, what is that procedure? What procedure the law has made? Now, let's take an example that all of you are selected as IPS officers, right? So congratulations, you are now selected as IPS officers. Now that you all are appointed IPS officers, let's take a situation. Let's think of a situation. So we get some credible information. We have proper information that there is someone by the name of Mr. X, and this Mr. X has got one AK-47 at his residence, which is illegal. He cannot have it. Now, I just cannot become a hero of a Hindi movie. Like, I cannot be Chulbul Pandey Dabang, like I will go to his home, I will pick him up, slap him, and take the gun and arrest him or do anything with him. No, that is not possible. Legally not possible. This is not the procedure established by law. So what is the procedure established by law here? The procedure established by law says that if a police officer gets an information that this person has an illegal weapon, first he need to have the search warrant. Take a search warrant to go to his house. You cannot trespass. Who are you? Even if you are an IPS officer, you have no right to enter anybody's house without having a search warrant. He is also a citizen of India. He has his rights. So how can you enter his house without having a search warrant? So get a search warrant. Now, when you have the search warrant, you can go to his place. But when you go to his place, you need to take a neutral person with you. Now, why you need a neutral person with you who should be some respectable person? Why you need this respectable person with you? So that the party concerned, Mr. X, he can tell in the court to the judge that, see, they came, the policemen came, and they planted the weapon at my place. It was not my weapon. They brought it along and then they planted it in my house, and now I am innocent. They are trying to implicate me in a wrong case. So take a neutral person who is neither from the executive authority, not a police officer or anybody related with state, or he must be not someone who is related with this person. He must not be his family member, right? So this person can be like the sarpanch of the village. He can be, let's say, a teacher of the school in the area, somebody who is neutral, not related to executive, neither is related to the person concerned. So take this neutral person. Now you go to his house, you have a search warrant, there is a neutral person, carry out a search, and if you get this illegal weapon, now you have to follow another procedure, get his arrest warrant. When you get the arrest warrant, now you can arrest this person. After arresting the person, the law says within 24 hours, bring this person before a magistrate. You have to bring the person before a magistrate who will listen to your arguments and the arguments of Mr. X and decide whether Mr. X is wrong or right. And if he says he's wrong, now you can take his custody. So this is procedure established by law. Now let's take an example. There is Mr. X about whom we had a discussion. Now there is Mr. Y. Mr. Y have got 100 AK-47 at his home, illegal. Mr. X had only one weapon, only one weapon. So, and a police officer, there are two police officers, A and B. A went to Mr. X house, followed all these steps, and then arrested him, brought him to the judge, and judge gave him the custody, asked him from where he got it. So, because policeman A followed the procedure established by law, it was a legal method and he could do it. Now, Mr. B, he did not follow this procedure. He got the information that he has 100 weapons. Mr. Y, he directly went to his place. He did not get the search warrant. He took no neutral person. He had no arrest warrant, but still he arrested and brought all the 100 guns with him and presented him to a judge. Judge will release Mr. Y as innocent. Why? He will then ask Mr. B to explain his position, how you entered his house. What guarantee it is that you did not put these weapons there and you did not have any malified intent? Why you went there without a search warrant? Why you went there without a neutral person? Even if there are 100 weapons, why should we believe that these weapons belongs to Mr. Y? So Y, despite having 100 weapons, will get bail or he may be declared innocent, while Mr. X having only one weapon will be given punishment. This is what we mean by procedure established by law. Do you understand this? Now, let's take an example of due process of law. I give you a very simple example of due process of law. So a law has been made. Law has been made. The proper procedure followed while making the law. Proper procedure was followed. Now, when proper procedure was followed, that means Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha passed the bill, President gave the assent, and now we have a law. And this law says that if you get information that Mr. X has one weapon illegal, go to his place with a search warrant, go to his place, along with search warrant, there should be a neutral person, go to his place, check out if there is a weapon, kill Mr. X, immediately kill him. Now judiciary will say, even if the procedure is being followed, is it the right procedure? How can you kill him? Let us first investigate that whether the weapon was his own or somebody else planted it before you went there. He could have some enemy who could have thrown the weapon in his house without he bichara being knowing if even. So how can you just kill the person without giving him the natural justice that he can present his case, he can prove his innocence, right? So this is something what we mean by due process of law, that there has to be some due procedure. You have to follow few things. You just cannot go arbitrary that we will eliminate the person because he has a weapon, right? Clear? So this is what I wanted you guys to understand, With this, now I will come back to the note making thing which you guys came here for specifically. So let's start with this procedure here. So we are done with the first session. We are left with 2 more sessions. Let me tell you here. Let me give you an example here, right? Now, what is this example that I would like you guys to understand? Now look at this. I am going to read Ancient India from NCERT, the new NCERTs, and I first need to know that there is class 6 NCERT called Our Past Part 1. Our Past Part 1. Then we have 12th class NCERT, name is Themes in Indian History Part 1. Then we have another book. We have another book in class 11. The title is Fine Arts, right? Fine Arts. Now there are 3 NCERTs. Class 6, Our Past 1, class 12, Themes in Indian History Part 1, and then there is a book of class 11, Fine Arts. Now look at this. If I pick up the 6th class book, there is a chapter in the earliest cities. In the earliest cities, it is Harappan civilization, right? Then when I come to class 12, there is a chapter on Harappan civilization. Then when I come to class 11, there is Arts of Indus Valley. Now, if I pick up these 3 books together and pick only one chapter each, I am reading chapter 4 of class 6 along with theme 1 of class 12, along with chapter 2 of class 11. I am making a complete note out of NCERTs for my Harappan civilization or Indus Valley civilization. I will cover all the aspects. What were the arts of Indus Valley civilization, how they made their pottery, what kind of paintings they made, what kind of sculptures they made. Here I will be talking about basics of art, but here I will get details of their art, right? This is what I mean by making integrated notes. And this is exactly how we have made our notes, right? This is one example. Let me give you another example for this. Let me give you another example now from medieval India. So when I talk about medieval India, right? Now let us have a look at this medieval India. Here it is. So let's have a look at medieval India from here. So I am talking about medieval India. And in this medieval India, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to talk about, let's say, Mughals, right? There is chapter 4 in class 7. The name of the book is Our Past Part 2. Class 12th book is Our Themes in Indian History Part 2. And the same 11th class book of Fine Arts. Now here I read about Mughal Empire, chapter 4. Then I go to class 12th book. And in this class 12th book, I have a chapter. And the name of the chapter is, given here. No, it's not given here. Just a moment. Let me check out where that chapter is. Thinkers, beliefs, kinship, things, farmers, bricks. I'm sorry, I missed on one slide here. But yes, there is a chapter in class 12th part 2. And there is a chapter on Mughals there, right? We have a chapter on Mughals. So in 12th class, we have a chapter on Mughals. I missed on one slide. And then come to here in this class 12th book, we have some aspects of Indo-Islamic architecture. So one chapter from class 7, one from class 12th, and one from 11th class. Together they make the complete note, right? Same is applicable to your geography book. While talking about geomorphology, 6th, 7th, and 11th class book, you have to bring the chapters together. When you bring these chapters together, you make the best notes, right? Same is applicable for physical geography. For class 6, 9th, and 11th, you will find the same topics, and then you can make better notes. When we talk about economic geography, class 8th, 12th, and then read 7th. We have already made this plan for you. This is how you have to make your notes. Now, when we talk about polity, there is like class 11th and class 9th, you have to bring things together, right? You have to bring the things together so that you can make better notes. Class 9th and class 10th, there are some chapters that overlap with each other. They then help us. Like, let's take an example. Here we have chapter in class 9th on electoral politics. And then when we are talking about electoral politics, how can we not talk about the political parties and then outcomes of democracy and challenges to democracy, right? We have to interlink the chapters. Only then the notes can be made in one such way that when you revise them, they become easier for you. So here is my final message to every one of you, that when you start making your notes, what you need to do. When you make your notes, if this is your notebook, first read your NCERTs, don't make notes. Read your advanced books, don't make notes. Just read the two books. After reading and underlining the proper facts, now this is your notebook. These are 2 pages. You have opened up your notebook, right? It is something like, this is your notebook. You have opened it up. There is 1 page, there is another page. Now, on this side of the page, what you will be doing, you have read your NCERT and advanced book. Now make your notes, right? Leave this page blank. For what? For newspapers and magazines. Now, let's take an example. We are reading the topic of governor. We have made our notes here from NCERT and advanced book, that is Lakshmikant. And whenever we read a news or read some article in a magazine on the office of governor, the challenges, the suggestions, we will write here. So the note of governor is at one place, be it NCERT or advanced books or newspapers or magazines, right? So this is what I mean by effective note making. You brought 4 books or 4 sources at one place. So this is equal to 4 sources. Now, once you have made this note, revise them 5 times in minimum. That means you have revised 20 times, because you have 4 books in it or 4 sources in it. The 4 sources have been revised 20 times. Now, this is what I mean by ensuring your success. With this, we come to an end of the session. And those who are interested knowing about our NCERT course and those who are interested doing it, they have to just send me one WhatsApp message on this number, right? This is my number. You can send me one WhatsApp message and I will share the details of NCERT course with you, right? No calls, please, because if you start calling, and I every time I get almost 700 to 800 messages. Now, if you send me messages and then you start calling, then it will be very difficult to reply to your messages. So only and only messages, and some patience. It will take me about good 2 to 3 hours to reply to all the messages, because I do it almost every fortnight. So I know the method, I know the procedure. It will take me 3 hours minimum to completely reply to everyone. So have some patience, send me message. I will send you the case, like what we are offering, how we are doing it. Everything will be crystal clear, that what all is part of this course, what is the fees, when it will start, when it will end, what all you will get, how long the access will be, and everything will be told quickly, right? So make sure that you send WhatsApp message on this number, but no calling, please. I will personally reply to everyone. And once I have replied and you want to ask anything, then you can leave a message that you want to talk and I will call you myself. Please don't call, I will call myself, right? So this is my number, 9814711661. You can send one WhatsApp message and we can start the process. We can start crafting a new success story. We can make it your day one for making your success possible through your effort with our guidance. It's the credit that goes to you, because you will take the decision, you will start the course, you will study, you will make the hard work, you will become an IAS. We are just the facilitators. We will just help you to make the process a little easier and to make you sure that you remain motivated, you remain inspired, and you reach where you want to reach, where you belong basically. Had it been that you are not meant for this, you would not have been here. And those who have already left, they were not meant to be. And that is why they just came and they left. Had it been that they came and they were destined to become, they would have remained. They would not have left the session in between, right? So because you are here, you are focused, you are determined. So this is the knock of destiny at your door. Take the opportunity, start it. You will not regret. You will remember this day as the day that changed your life. That is the day you will remember when you took your first step towards your success. make sure that you are not missing on this opportunity, right? So let's start the process. You send me message, I send you the detail, and let's start a very healthy relationship together and help us craft a success story for you, right? With this, thank you very much. See you tomorrow, where we will be talking about answer writing. And in the evening at 5:30, let's not forget we are interacting with All India Rank 8, Mr. Saraf, right? Abhishek Saraf. Bye-bye. Take care. Have a very nice time. Enjoy. Stay safe. Bye-bye.